All right. It's only November, but it really feels like the Super Bowl is coming up. The Dallas Cowboys Overtime on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram sports columnist Mac Engel, and I'm joined by a decorated alum of the University of Texas, Mr. Clarence Engel Jr. Now, we had some technical difficulties on Saturday night. Not a word, young man.
No.
I just hang on. I just want to make sure that you were aware that Texas didn't win on Saturday night and that they lost to Kansas. I happen to be a Kansas alum, and I wanted to check in on you and see how you were doing.
Well, it looks like you've been drinking since Saturday because your hair is not coming back. This is a bad hair.
It's horrible. I know.
What is going on here?
I know. I don't know what's going on back here.
Your hair is
awful.
fatter than Texas, okay? I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
That sadly may be accurate. Like, I want to say, oh, I'm under the weather. I feel terrible. No, I just look horrible. In terms of great transitions, I may look horrible, but the Dallas Cowboys don't. How about that? That's pro. The Dallas Cowboys defeat the Denver Broncos, the Atlanta Falcons 43-3 on Sunday at AT&T Stadium, thus proving that their game before that against the Denver Broncos was not a blueprint to beat Dallas. That was sort of a theme coming into the game, and a point of curiosity was whether Denver, for the second time in the last few seasons, supplied the rest of the NFL a roadmap to success against the Cowboys. I think, Clarence, you and I both can agree that the Dallas Cowboys disproved that with a humiliating thumping of the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday at AT&T Stadium.
There's no question. And to me, the blueprint for Dallas, rather than to beat Dallas, the blueprint for Dallas' success is Dak Prescott and offense. How Dak Prescott offense goes, how the Cowboys go. And they set the tone. They set the tone early. They didn't set the tone early. They came out and missed those fourth downs, and things started, momentum started going the other way against Denver this week. They hit a couple of fourth down. They scored 4 of their first 5 drives. That helped the defense. This defense needs to play with a lead. When this offense is rolling, this defense playing with the lead. That's the formula for success for this Cowboys team. That's the blueprint for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, offense rolling, defense playing with a lead. They're hard to beat that way.
Yeah, the game almost looked like a preseason game. It was so lopsided and so, quite frankly, pretty boring there in the second half. Dak Prescott looked outstanding. They all did. Everybody on offense had a phenomenal day. And really, it was almost a historic win. Certainly, the margin at halftime was one of the biggest margins in the history of their franchise. Clarence, as we look ahead, the entire season, I'm not just talking about Sunday's game, but the entire season, can we, even though Dak Prescott has missed a game because of that strained calf, even though he missed that game at Minnesota, do you think he right now is a viable NFL MVP candidate? Or do you think he needs just a little bit more glitz, a few more pretty numbers?
Well, he's a candidate for sure. There's no question about it. He leads the league in quarterback rate. He's the number 1 rated quarterback in the league. Okay. He's number 2 in completion percentage.
Yep.
Again,
he's 5th in yards per game. He's 4th in touchdowns. He's 65th in interceptions.
Yeah.
He's the only guy in the guys who lead in the NFL in passing yardage are Matt Stafford and Pat Mahomes.
And they played 2 more games.
Yeah, they played 2 more games. And the one big difference that Dak has going for him, he has a running back right now who's having a terrific season and a backup who's having a good season as well.
And that's part of it. So I think that there's no question Dak Prescott's in the conversation. If you look at leading MVP candidates, it's Dak Prescott, it's Todd Brady, it's Allen from Buffalo, and it's our favorite little quarterback from Arizona,
Kyler Murray.
You have
absolutely,
and of course Aaron Rodgers. But Dak's in the conversation. The beautiful thing about this week, as we look forward to this game, you got Patrick Mahomes on the other side. Let him go to Kansas City. He's outplayed Patrick Mahomes all season.
No doubt.
There's no beans about it. But he's making as much money as Patrick Mahomes. Okay, okay. So he's actually making more money. Dak Prescott's making $75 million this year. Patrick Mahomes is making about $20 million this year. People don't understand that. He got that big $450 million contract, but to kick into next year. Dak Prescott is making way more money than Patrick Mahomes this year. Patrick Mahomes has a Super Bowl ring, has the MVP trophy. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. Dak has not. Dak has a chance to put himself firmly in front by going to Kansas City and beating Patrick Mahomes this weekend.
Clarence, as we looked at that game against Atlanta, certainly Dak's performance was noteworthy because he was so good in only 3 quarters. He threw almost for 300 yards in 3 quarters with a couple of touchdown passes and a touchdown run. But it was a touchdown run that even Jerry Jones made a comment about, which is, I'm not sure that's the kind of touchdown run you want to see from your potential NFL MVP quarterback making, where on a 4th down, he takes on an Atlanta defender at the 1 or the goal line and overpowers him into the end zone. Now, Dak has gone back forth on this. At first, it was, hey, man, I'm going to play the way I'm going to play. And then a few weeks ago, it was, well, I've got to, I'm going to be a little bit smarter about it. In that situation, does he just need to dive?
Well, I mean, I think that you're just talking to the Cowboys. He was going to throw a touchdown pass to Jeremy Sprinkle. They held him, and they said they should have been a flag on them for the touchdown pass. Sprinkle wasn't open. As a quarterback, as a competitor, what do you do in that situation? You don't think about dive. You don't think about going down. You got to do what you got to do, but that was not the intent. But Dak said he has been smart. When he's out in the open field, he's not trying to fight for extra yards, but around the goal line, close to first downs, he's going to be a football player. And that's his natural instinct, and you can't get mad at him from that because that's who he is. That's what made him who he is. Certainly, Jerry Jones and everybody else, you do want to be careful. You do cringe when he takes on the guy at the goal line. Sure. But that's the guy who he is. That's the leader in the locker room. That's the guy that everybody rallies around. That's part of his DNA. You can't take that out of his DNA and not have the same guy.
No, and of all the developments that happened on Sunday against the Falcons, there's a few other things that I thought that occurred that, deserve mention. And certainly that was the play of Terrence Steele at left tackle. The week before against Denver, he was terrible. But on Sunday, he had a really nice game. But it looks like the backup, he's going to go back to being a backup this week, as it looks like the starter, Tyron Smith, will be in there at left tackle against Kansas City. Is there anybody else, Clarence? They got Michael Gallup back. That was nice. Is there anybody else, Clarence, that they might get back other than Tyron Smith for Sunday?
Last week they kept telling us it's a couple of weeks for DeMarcus Lawrence, and we'll see. He's been sending out cryptic tweets about soon all week, and he's done it a couple of times this week. I think that they may let him come back to practice, start his 3-week practice window. I don't see him playing this week or next week. I see him coming back either for the Saints game on December 2nd or after the Saints game when they have a 10-day layoff before they get ready for the final stretch of the season. But yeah, for this week, I think we're going to see what you saw on last weekend, except for maybe Tyron Smith. And the interesting thing is, we go back to Dak for a minute. Mm-hmm. You talk about the hit, okay? Yeah. He took on this touchdown round. The biggest hit in the game he took was from his own man, CeeDee Lamb, on the sideline. He hit, but his quarterback.
What is he doing?
He got a scar on his eye. Okay?
What was he thinking?
That was a tough. Seriously, if you watch the replay of that hit, Dak was groggy. He had to shake it off.
I know. Excuse me. I'm fighting the weather. I got a little bit under the weather. That's why I'm trying to nurse the water.
He had to fight that off. That should have been a roughing the passer on his own teammate.
On CeeDee Lamb.
Another fine for CeeDee Lamb. Throw the flag at it.
Well, we have a game coming up on Sunday that at the beginning of this season we were excited about because it was the Kansas City Chiefs. And then about 4 weeks ago, we thought, oh, man, who cares? It's the Chiefs. They're having a terrible season. Well, the Chiefs seem to have gotten their stuff together. They've won 3 consecutive games. Now, 2 of those teams that they've defeated aren't exactly anything to write home about. And 2 of those games were really close. And the first one was against the Giants, 20-17. Then they followed that up by beating the Green Bay Packers in Kansas City, but without Aaron Rodgers, only 13-7. And then on Sunday Night Football, they went into Las Vegas and they destroyed the Raiders 41-14. The Kansas City Chiefs come into this game as 2.5-point favorites. They've been to the Super Bowl in each of the last 2 seasons, which means they've played the most games of any other team in the NFL, which that's significant. Clarence, they're 6-4. It's easily the game of the week. It looks like Kansas City has their stuff together. I got to tell you, I'm not buying this. I'm not feeling that the Kansas City team that's playing right now is that Kansas City team that played so well the last 2 seasons. I'm not seeing it. Are you?
No, and I'm right there with you. If you watched the game the other night, and yes, they won and beat the Raiders, but Mahomes had 405 passing yards and 5 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns, but whatever he had. But he easily could have thrown 3 picks. I mean, he's still throwing YOLO balls. And for the
Right.
first 2 or 3 years, he was getting away with it. He's not gotten away with it this year. One big thing about the Chiefs, he's had a lot of turnovers. He has 10 interceptions,
Yep.
and a few more fumbles. He has a lot of turnovers. That's part of their game. And, he's getting ready to face the Cowboys team that right now is feasting on turnovers. The secondary had the best game of the season at 11 deflected passes. They had 3 interceptions. They had a forced fumble. They didn't recover it, but the defense is playing well. Something's wrong with this offense. This offense is not the same offense that we've seen in past years. You look at his numbers, he has great numbers. He's all of that stuff is well and good, but you watch him, there's no rhythm to the offense. It's just YOLO balls. It's Patrick playing playground football and making a play. And he got away with it in years past. He's not getting away with it now. This Cowboys offense is much more fluid, much more consistent, much more explosive than this Chiefs offense. Even with Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, you look at what the Cowboys have. They have the better offense and the better defense on the game on Sunday.
Yeah, they do, and it looks like the weather's going to be okay. Now it's Tuesday, so it could obviously change significantly, especially in the Midwest in November. Dallas is 7-2. Kansas City is 6-4. The one thing that Kansas City's had of the last couple of seasons, at least for opposing defenses, is that you had to sell out to stop one guy, and that was going to leave some other guy who was top 2 or 3 at his position, essentially in single coverage. And I'm talking about tight end Travis Kelce, or whatever you want to call him, Tyreek Hill. And both of those guys are having nice seasons again, but they really don't have anybody. They really don't have a running back. Their running backs are 2 guys, Darrell Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Neither one of them are having great seasons. But this offense is basically 3 guys.
And the offensive line is trash.
And the offensive line is really bad. So, Clarence, we've seen teams try to do this before, where you've got all of your money and the whole team is basically just a couple of guys. We're watching the Rams do it right now, although they have obviously a few more weapons than Kansas City does. But Clarence, when it comes to trying to take away Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce, just take them away. Like, let the other guy beat us. What's Dallas do? Because teams are still doing that. Right. And in your mind, what do? Do you take away Kelce or do you take away Hill?
Well, I mean, I think what you do is, and the Cowboys have done a good job on tight ends. Jaron Kearse, big, tall safety, is really coming to his own this year and done a great job covering tight ends. You saw last week Pitts had a couple of passes early. We didn't hear from Pitts the rest of the game.
Right.
And so they've really done a good job of handling tight ends and taking away tight ends. Obviously, most teams have played deep zone against Kansas City and taken away the deep pass. Don't let Tyreek Hill get behind you. You play coverage, you get to the quarterback and make Pat hold on to the ball, which he doesn't want to do. And then he throws up YOLO balls. And so I think that's going to be part of the game plan. The good news for Kansas City is the Cowboys don't have the best pass rushers and Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence, but they somehow got it done last week. And Michael Parsons is coming back to being that beast he was early in the season. And I think he's going to do more pass rushing this game than he did last week because you don't really have to worry about the Kansas City running game. Look for him to be on that edge and getting after Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and you talked about Patrick Mahomes. He's thrown 10 interceptions. That's the second highest figure in the league. He's been sacked a lot. And you'll see that with those guys who feel like they can hold on to the ball. Russell Wilson, 19 sacks. That's a lot. And, man, Clarence, I talked to a former NFL player, offensive lineman. He said he made a comparison about Micah Parsons that I thought, no way, you're not going to go there. And I'm not talking about DeMarcus Ware.
I'm talking about LT.
I'm talking about LT. And I know that's crazy. And to go there, not Charles Haley, but LT. Are we crazy to say LT, Micah Parsons? I mean, LT is one of the greatest players in the history of the game, maybe, and a guy revolutionized that position. But when I see Micah Parsons play, I'm like, holy crap, sometimes that guy looks like 56.
Well, the thing about Michael Parsons is he's kind of a mix between a LT and a Ray Lewis because he's an inside linebacker.
Yep.
He does the LT stuff on the end, but he's also in the middle of the defense, running sideline to sideline and tackling people sideline to sideline, covering backs and tight ends out of the backfield, which LT wasn't asked to do and didn't need to do because he was one of the best pass rushers ever. So, I mean, it's not just the LT part. It's what he does in the middle of the defense to wreck the running game. And he's just He's all over. You saw it in preseason. He wants to make every play,
Yeah.
and it's infectious for the rest of the defense.
Yeah, he's outstanding. Before we come up with our fantasy advice or our predictions, I think I know what you're going to say, but I know we want to sell this as a Super Bowl preview. And when you've got a team like Kansas City that's had 2 consecutive Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl win, and they've got dynamic players still, obviously, Honey Badger, Chris Jones. Those are guys on defense. Former Dallas Cowboys middle linebacker Anthony Hitchens to go along with. Now he's not a superstar, but he's a name that we know. And Mahomes, and Hill, and Kelsey. I gotta tell you, I'm not buying this as the Super Bowl preview. Are you?
No, not necessarily, but it's one of those. We've talked all season about measuring stick games. These check marks for the Cowboys as we see where they are and where they stand and whether they can really make this a special season. This is one of those games. Kansas City's trying to get their mojo back. That Kansas City home crowd is one of the toughest places to play in the league. That stadium is loud. Okay,
it's a great atmosphere.
It's a great atmosphere. One of the best tailgating atmospheres in the country, college or pro. And you got to put in all those college teams because they have some great tailgating. This is one of the great places and one of the great atmospheres to play. So when you put all that into it's a big game for the Cowboys. It's a big, again, one of those yardstick games for the Cowboys. But this Chiefs team as they're currently playing, they're not the favorite out of the AFC to go to the Super Bowl.
No way. That's got to be Buffalo or
Tennessee,
and
Buffalo
absolutely
are playing much better football. And they're going to be toughest places to play. And Kansas City will have to go to one of those places as it stands right now in the playoffs. But again, it's a big game because it's Dak Prescott. It is Patrick Mahomes, the Texas boy. You got Whataburger up there. They just opened the Whataburger.
Oh, that's right. They opened Whataburger up there.
And lines out the door.
Crazy
Whataburger in Kansas City. Okay, they're trying to steal our Texas hamburger. They're trying to take our name for the Texas barbecue. They already beat Texas. Okay, Kansas already beat Texas.
Hey, I didn't want to say
another
anything.
Texas team. They have enough Texans. This is the Cowboys' turn to win.
But I get, what, Kansas City needs this game way worse than Dallas. They do. I mean, for all the obvious reasons, they're 6-4. Dallas is 7-2, and what feels like 80 games up in the division there in the NFC East. Okay, it's prediction time. Not the game, but fantasy advice. This game is loaded with fantasy number guys. Mari Cooper, Michael Gallup is back. Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. Who am I missing? And CeeDee Lamb. Clarence, this is kind of, if you're a fantasy player, you've got like 7 guys that you would sit there and say, okay, that's a no-brainer. So who's your no-brainer lock? Pick this guy from this game, either team.
I'm going to pick Dalton Schultz because,
I like it.
Daniel Sorensen. Kansas City safety, number 41, put a circle around he is dead meat, okay? He is barbecue chicken. Fine 41. Whoever's covering 41, throw him the ball. He sucks.
That's good advice. I'm going to go with the Dallas defense because I think they're going to get some sacks. I think they're going to get a couple more turnovers. And if you're looking around, and I know normally picking a defense against Kansas City is, fantasy football suicide. But if you're looking to be creative and you think, you know what, maybe I can get some numbers. I think they might get sort of big numbers in terms of sacks and turnovers against Kansas City on Sunday. Okay, prediction time. And then I got one other quick question before we take off here on Cowboys Overtime. Cowboys are 2.5-point underdogs. 2.5-point underdogs. They are perfect against the spread but one. They did not cover against the Denver Broncos. Every other game they're perfect. Clarence, Chiefs are 2.5-point favorite. Who you got?
Oh, Kansas City. I'm sorry, Dallas.
Dallas. What?
Dallas. I Candy crossed me up with throwing something in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I got the Cowboys winning this game outright. They've been better. I think that they win this. Again, the way the Cowboys defense is playing, that performance against the Falcons was just such a supreme performance based on, you not having your pass rushers and how they held that Falcons team down. And people forget Matt Ryan was the NFC player of the week before.
Oh, he looked terrible. I mean, he looked done. He looked
like
the
worst game of his career.
Matty Ice looked Matty finished. He was
the NFC player of the week before, so it wasn't like he was coming in riding in momentum and they shut him down. So I just think the Cowboys, they got it going offensively and defensively. They're going to handle the Chiefs.
I think you're right. I think one area to look at, take a hard look at the field goal kicking situation. The Cowboys, I think they could bite them in the butt. But I'm going to go with Cowboys, and they're going to improve.
They're going for it on fourth down every time.
That's true. They are going.
No kick, no field goal.
That's what the sheet says, Clarence.
No field goal November. No field goal.
Okay, last question. This is very important. This is not about Kansas and Texas football.
Okay.
We already know who's superior there. This is about something far greater importance, and that is Kansas City barbecue versus Texas barbecue. Real quick, you lived in Kansas City for a while. I graduated with honors. They just didn't give them to me from the University of Kansas. You and I've lived in Texas now for 25 years. You've grown up here. Clarence, in this death struggle, who has the better barbecue, Kansas City or the great state of Texas?
I lived in Kansas City 4 years. I ate Gates barbecue. I ate barbecue in Kansas City every week, once a week. I love barbecue. I grew up.
How are you alive?
I grew up,
How are you alive?
Listen, I grew up in a small town in Texas eating barbecue every Saturday. It's a staple of my diet. Well, I know what I'm talking about here, okay?
All right, go for it.
Texas in a landslide. When you got to talk about the sauce, it ain't about the meat. Everybody want to hate the Kansas City sauce. Everybody got the sauce. In Texas, it's an insult. It's like putting a Heinz 57 on steak. You don't put
do
steak.
Those people should be deported.
You don't go to a great restaurant and put Heinz 57 on your barbecue on your steak. Don't come down here talking about how good your barbecue sauce is, because you're ruining the masterpiece, which is the smoked meat, the brisket, the ribs. When you cook it right and you season right, you don't need all of that barbecue sauce. Texas barbecue wins.
I agree with you, and this is why. Bacon, burnt ends. In the discussion, mic drop, in this case, it's a Mac drop. It's not even an argument. If you give me bacon, burnt ends, and you put anything on it, anything, it's go time. Clarence, it's been a lot of fun. We'll see you Sunday. Cowboys versus the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. It's the late game, not the night game, the late game. For all of your Dallas Cowboys needs, be sure to check us out on StarTelegram.com for Cowboys Overtime. He's Clarence E. Hill Jr., and I am Kansas 57, Texas 56, Mac Engel.
We're a basketball school.